says you get a lot of mail from people who want to follow you still.
Follow me? Did you have any choice? You'll all follow me.
Let's get something straight.
I did not break the law.
Lord, have mercy on my wretched soul. Lord, have mercy on my wretched soul. Lord, have mercy on my wretched soul.
They're gonna put you all back in chains. We gotta finish what Obama started.
ANTIKULT.
I walk circles 7 times a line in hopes to call upon and find Christ. I walk circles 7 times a line in hopes to call upon and find Christ. I walk circles 7 times a line in hopes to call upon.
Walls are a little higher now. 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 Walls are a little.
Beyond the pale.
They're gonna put you all back in chains.
A democracy against democracy, a kingdom with no king, an angel without wings, a chorus of banshees sing. The untimely demise of a voyage, the cries of those drowning. Slave ships escorted back the previous master. We have learned to read backwards to the 0 chapter. A question without answer, a joke with no laughter. A madman seated upon the throne, declaring war upon his own. He began to speak of peace while those that bend the knee get swallowed by the beast.
Okay, let me respond. Let me respond. I've gotta go.
Same scientists that manufactured this virus are the same telling us how to fight it. Some of the same we trust are the same that helped infect us. Some of the same we love are the same who have been trained to hate us, to paint us as the enemy we never knew, to frame us for the wars they have always fueled, religiously gathering before their TV, falling to their knees, placing both hands upon the screen and memorizing every word from the script another reads.
We have no choice but to take them out of society. Predators on our streets.
Burning tempers, burning flags, burning buildings, silencing voices, limiting choices, destroying dreams, distributing vaccines, submitting to new eugenics. May cause side effects such as dizziness, memory loss, loss of freedom. This will help us forget who we once were. This will cause wealthy businessmen to believe they are all leaders, barking orders, offering bribes to incoherent leaders with feeble minds and broken spines. Statism in full effect, picking off one county at a time. Idea, suggestion, ordinance, pandemic, martial law, obey, no question. Ruled by carefully selected scientists. We are the experiment, like monkeys, like rabbits, like mice, citizens forcing citizens to comply. Just watch how we turn against each other, silencing each other until we eventually begin to cut out our own tongues. What have we become? A cult of followers, seeking acceptance, seeking justification, seeking advice, seeking some sort of vice to help us heal. We are wounded, polluted minds, poor sight, fractured hearts, and empty spirits. Some are still trying to hold on, others have lost it all. Victims of siding siding with the executioner, sharpening their axes for them. Yesterday's victims are today's bullies. Yesterday's oppressed practice new age supremacy, and still the killer wears the mask of the victim and cries for more. Forgotten messages of Christ ignored. Today we isolate ourselves and build our own cages. Many are lost in fiction. Many are using county ordinances to shame others for civil disobedience. This is not all about safety, but opportunity. The opportunity to act out of control. The opportunity to control. As citizens separate, they are easily conquerable. When a citizen loses everything, they are forced to seek help, swallow pride, and obey. Every time we catch a glimpse of truth, it is censored, disproved, and removed. Said to be propaganda by actual authors of propaganda. Children are being fed the forbidden, while the adults are being held hostage by Disney. Socially, we are distant but brought together by TV. And when we actually make it outside, we are more alone than ever before. Head to the floor, our eyes locked on cellular slander. Minute-to-minute updates uploaded by big tech programmer. Strangers tell each other only what they think the other wants to hear. We once shared ideas, now we only share posts. We once had culture, now all I see is cult. We once had a voice, now we are told not to question the vote. I still believe and I still hold hope, but why's it got to be such a heavy rope? We are losing our identities. We are forgetting exactly who we are supposed to be. Now the only smiles I see are on TV. The Zero chapter.
Back in chains. Let's get something straight. Back in chains. Let's get something straight. Let's get something straight. They're gonna put you all back in chains. Let me respond. There's a lot to respond to here.
Conspiracy theory of relativity of fact. Careful who you target, careful with that axe. We're running down a rabbit hole, there's no turning back.
I am a happy member of the Bohemian Grove. I like the folks who come there.
A culture plagued by numbers, conjuring dark forces, dancing, beckoning, summoning, returning to a home that's not yours. A new world wrapped in an old world's chains. A man that claims to be free. A man that owes a great debt. A man owned by invisible threats. Crying for the right he agrees with. Fighting against the right he disagrees with. Materialistic women have given birth to serpents that are feeding on potential messiahs in a playground. A world has demonized a good-hearted martyr. Shortly after, dark society's crowned the next host. An elder infected by many demons. Legion of the 21st century. Your children are not safe. A gray cloud cast over this nation and now remains stagnant. Those against us back in control. Those with us denied parole. All Paul Revere's are now silenced and rotting in prison. Julian Assange and Edward Snowden tried to warn us what was coming moments before the Queen gave that order. Runaways and missing children are considered to be delicacies of this dark elite, trying to find a way to find forever and escape the day they will be forced to answer for all their endeavors, crimes, and sins against God. Trying to abort the second coming and close the door to what will be coming for them. Epstein's death did not mark the end. There are more islands undiscovered, more victims unidentified, more cries unheard. Primetime viewers having their principles reversed by warlocks, self-mutilators, and practices of the dark arts, making way through television to living rooms, into your hearts. Those calling themselves good people are erecting steeples that are abominations against God. Media masquerades rapists as romanticists, devils as saints, and paints a paradise that does not exist within the exact coordinates that lockdown subordinates are thrown into. Overruled whips snap to the rhythm of the blues. Cars no longer running on fuel but running off you. Our energy is being transferred to objects as we become easily replaceable objects to members of a government believing they are gods. A man believing he is a god is spiritually lost, caught within the realm of imaginary supernatural entities, false deities of the disease, constructed in concrete, cold hard, godless cities where beasts feed off the weak and bleed warriors, showing sheep the difference between patriots in the street and loyalists awaiting further instructions before their TV while loyally bending the knee, causing submission to be the latest trend. We are not here to serve our government. They are not our masters. They are not our heroes. We are the people, not meant to conform. Born from the very ideology of individual freedom. Now scorn for beliefs slightly differing from theirs. They say they fight, they say they care. They do not come for us. They are coming for us. The powers that be, now targeting speech, information, visuals, trying to overreach far past their boundaries. Mere words, images, thoughts become criminal. All hail the secret police. Men become heroes. Freedom has a higher fee. Fact becomes rewritten. A Bible of opinions. A machine called dominion. Children be the real victim, awaiting a future with no recollection of the actual past. If we don't act now, this may be the last time before that clock forever stops and we are stuck on standby, standing still as they make the next move, thinking they're only coming after me when the target has always been you. What to do when you're caught in the crossfire, waking up the crossfires
of a new world, of a new world, of a new world, of a new world order. Medical workers withheld treatment for hundreds of unsuspecting black men infected with syphilis. Of a new world, of a new world, world order.
The first doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine have been distributed across the U.S.
Of a new world, new world, new world order.
There may be some restrictions that may be placed on people that don't have vaccines.
Where's your freedom now? How you must feel when your new master sells you to those you never knew. Stepping out to the shadow, holding yesterday's crumbling puppet in their arms, sliding off palms, letting go, feeding your superhero to the fire. He promised you the world. Now, how to ever get it back?
I'm back in chains. I'm back in chains. I'm back in chains. I'm back in chains.
How do you shut up when you know what's going on? How to keep mowing the lawn they burned crosses on? Tolerance is a trend. Fashion show for rich men. Television pretend. Cry for black men. Why not all men? Why is it always about skin? Spirits escape flesh. Only for soul to be walked on. Only to be sold. Only child gets pawned. If slavery is really such a bad thing, why do so many sell themselves the first chance they get? Why is it so hard to admit that we are enslaved by social media, distorted disguise, pocket device, and unreal clicks, commenting on memes over-politicized and 10-second clips, hypocrites failing to admit the ultimate addiction is us, a collection of friendships of strangers sharing dialogue through hieroglyphics and emojis. We travel back to yesterday's caves, sheltered from the reality of today, that these wars are not real but staged, that common colds are not plagues but those man-made begin to depopulate undesirables, unhirables, the elderly, and the weak, targeted by billionaire eugenics. Bill Gates looks in the mirror talking Dr. Kevorkian, but we haven't asked for this. We are asking for this evil that exists to go back into the realms of urban legends, to only exist on TV and no longer try to speak for us. You can't talk for us if you won't walk for us. Just sing for us, dance for us. You won't even share your own thoughts with us. Those words you deliver to us, written by movie writers and the evil shadows of a sect of government unknown to us, constructed by the heaviest donators, contributors of poison and mental illness. New Age druids trying to write a new Bible, wearing an angel's wings, speaking demon voice. Everyone uses the voice, but a child of people are trying to protect that the system now neglects. Went from white sheets to blue parties, snake oil salesmen, televised revolutions, not real till you make them. Many have yet to realize revelations already came and went. We are what's left, a forgotten world trying to remember its roots, slashed and burned. Casualties of Eden's deforestation, dehumanization of civilization, demonization of a nation fueled by treason, but trying to redeem itself, only to reopen the gates of hell and sell tales of virtual paradise seen as mud puddle when not plugged in. We unplugged everything but our brain. Well trained, we await further instruction.
This is an unconscionable situation.
We, the people, pretending to care, pretending to believe, pretending not to see, allowing the TV to choose our sides. We scream freedom and dream of the comfort of ourselves. We are the greatest threat to ourselves and still fear that boogeyman they deliver. We are memorizing the scripts they read from, trying to become that someone they will leave alone as we help them hunt down another. New stories being written, news stories clouding vision. The average middle-class American seems to be more worried about a man that doesn't look like him eating Cheerios on TV with a child that doesn't look like him. They are trying to scare us with the least of our problems, trying to dare us to do something about them. Center focus on cherry-picked mayhem, trying to make us hate ourselves to make it easier to hate them. I hope my phone's listening. Turn that mic up and turn off your television. First Amendment, no right to remain silent. And this is dedicated to every fallen and still walking hero that had the courage to fight for their loved ones, for their people, for strangers, those who were targeted for being themselves, that were shot in cold blood by brainwashed soldiers, taught to believe their own brother and sister to be the enemy. We, as Americans, bathe in the blood of innocence spilt by those we consider allies. It's time to make better friends. It's time for us to practice the love we preach and the courage we speak. It's time for us to force this country to finally become what it claims to be. Our comfort should not come at such a cost ungodly. We must learn to see what's happening without being blinded by manipulative special effects and badly written scripts. Red and blue politicians gang banging more than Bloods and Crips. Our memories serve us better than our history. Let us think more. Let our minds remain open to what we have closed them to. Our greatest enemy is a stubborn pride and over-eager willingness to be misled by those we think we relate to. The party's over. They will no longer divide us. We will no longer continue to fight for the highest bidder, to die in vain, to exterminate innocence, break from this hypnosis. Instead of trying to fit in, find a way out. Our story continues.
This is an unconscionable situation. What everyone should agree on is that if an army, especially a colonizing power attacking a population it occupies and completely controls, is going to kill such an outrageous number of civilians, they shouldn't be their own judge and jury.
I love you.
America, sweet, sweet, sweet America, sweet, sweet, sweet America, sweet, sweet, sweet America.
play modern day madman crusade with conquistador greed and devil torture. We gift this world with oceans of tears, mountains of corpses, an air unfit to breathe. We are each other's poison, every relationship toxic. If this isn't what you want to hear, then don't worry. Another love song is just around the corner, another game, another movie. We are addicted to selective loss of memory. One individual cannot be completely defined by a book written back in the 17th century. Within these walls, honesty is a foreign policy, and those being lied to never know they're being lied to. We live lives we know not to be real. Every morning we get up to look into the mirror and convince ourselves of otherwise, and other lies a disguise of forever faithful allegiance to global genocide. Our conscience placed before their bullseye to be silenced on the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fingered children playing too close to diamond mines. An entrepreneur stumbled across a primitive setting and declared himself king. Stories of a barbaric East, though these mines property of the West. So try again, lie again. Truth is something many don't want to talk about, even think about. Truth is the only change we are currently seeing is due to clearly seen sloppy daily re-editing. Truth is forbid to be taught. Truth is covered up by bigoted anchors, biased reporters, bought out leaders, orchestrators of disorder. Mining industry set up like 10 churches of a traveling circus. Colonized cultures constructing godlike statues of poorly paid miners. Their offspring bear cleft lips, this mark of the corporate beast. Dry dirt craters where paradise used to be. Water evaporates, food depletes. This used to be paradise. Hard to believe and even harder to breathe. Colton produces millionaires born by the blood and sweat of the hardest workers kept poor. Our toys, souvenirs of genocide. From the mines a child will rise with no name, only seen as scenery and memes of human suffrage viewed by the unmoved and desensitized. He would make more money simply by begging in the streets of a big city. Same city becoming a magnet to the elite out west that like to head east, come out, play, go home then. Tell tales and former jokes told about hired help from last night's playground. Nightly, the news will sensationalize desperate acts, distort facts, and provide misinformation about their residents in order to keep viewers hesitant to reach out, outsiders to keep others in the dark of what a system hides in. Human zoo projects, city leaders use officers as loan sharks and executioners. Laws have been designed to keep survivalists confined for life. We practice selective outrage, choosing not to discuss what really needs to be talked about. When speaking to crowds, I grow proud when people walk out. It means I gave them something to think about. I'll watch my mouth when you watch your actions. Watch your temper. Watch what you're exposing your own children to. Watch how you're helping oppressors oppress. Watch how you keep others in their place. In this universe, there is no safe space. We are all stars, dust, remnants of planets formulated into beings of matter, calling for galactic justice. But back to Earth, the land of fallen serpents as servants. Dear America, pointing out our neighbor's sins should never excuse our own. The whole world is infected. Fear is contagious. Many of today's children are being taught not to question. They are being taught to the penalties for raising their hands in classrooms, in churches, in streets, in self-defense, and target center of trigger-happy officers, indoctrinated by a backwards institution designed to keep those in control safe and in control, and those to be controlled always under control, or else. Watch as the average citizen defends the same system aligning against them. Watch how politics, race, religion, fear tactics, status of wealth, false diagnosis of health tears us apart. Fear should not be our strongest bond. Togetherness should have never been forced. As you search, realize a corrupt system won't provide the tools to dismantle it. We, as a people, responsible for our own rights, are now giving them back willingly. Our handlers do not have our best interests at heart. Many of these boogeymen don't really exist. Many of our wars have been unnecessary. Our enemies never had to be our enemies and still don't. Propaganda is not truth but an insult to our intelligence. Our allies have never been forced to answer for their war crimes or countless accusations of violations of human rights. Our sanctions never hurt governments, only their citizens. Do not be so married to your beliefs that you turn away from truth. Do not speak of terrorism without addressing your very own freedom fighters. My country of origin shall never determine my state of mind. My eyes should not remain closed every time the true devil walks by. A nation so sophisticated they still solve everything with wars. Cave mentality with space-age disease. We are far from ready to be what we claim to be. We were once in caves, mistaken shadows for being followed. We are addicts no longer high. We chase the escape of the low. We are 6 feet below, 6 feet below. We wear the mask of stole identity. Hard to find our own identity, our true identity, to identify identically without identity. Just another worker and just another number. Just another I can't, killing off all the I cans. Can I walk through walls and pass through gunfire? Breathe underwater in great floods and fly off fallen towers. We are more powerful than we think. Our powers are untapped. We are raised not to rise, not to believe in us. Our dreams are talking to us, but we sleep through conversation. We are being watched. Timelessness is created by breaking off hands of that clock until our bodies forgot how to keep up with us, only to be reminded of our own mortality, only to be reminded that we are only human. Started seeing rappers put on their own chains. Their DJs picked up flutes, produced hypnotic beats fused into soundtracks heard through hallways and schools. Watch these fools, they wanna be just like you, but they don't know you. Still trying to find themselves within the walls of a system that doesn't freely welcome change until it can be used to keep all of you exactly where they want you. Individuality is a remake, replicas of once originals under the influence of undercover agents of the state. Mind control, self-hate, subliminal, instigate, initiate, gentrificate, stronghold, controlled, remold criminal into hero. Just stop thinking, but look at that dance, but look at the percentage master gets. No freestyle on the master track. Who's singing on that track? On train tracks, they got caught now on the side of the road, prettying up the scenery and making more road with nowhere to go. No home, no foundation, only broken souls with misspoken voices. They singing in code, screaming for change for underground train stations. Change the station. No matter how you paint the pain, song remains the same. Old man on the street holding up a cup of jingling change was once a young man in jingling chains. New man proudly displayed on stage, putting on his own chains. Once that old man was displayed on a stage in the same kind of chains, then sold for change and taken away. His future auctioned off, his legacy remembered, revised, retold, re-edited, now reenacted. Once we surpassed this, so why can't we get past this? Whose past is this? Now the past is today. Hope and change, ropes and chains, sold for change, stole some chains, now back and change the channel. Different setting, same story. He tried to tell his but suffered from writer's block. Individual thoughts on an auction block. Change the station. The revolution was televised, but evolution will be kept off the air. Catch breath, deeper than depth, louder than death. Television sets traps for dreamers with programs about not being free till they believe in it. I am fiction, god of the ants, ruling an invisible planet. No more strange than old man that thinks he's running the country, never walking in our shoes. Just a con man confused, a yes man that won't refuse. Another reason for us to sing the blues. Just super flexible like silly putty. They got those old bones contorted like Picasso paintings and stick figure doodles on desk in the Oval Office. Get me off this game board. Why rest in peace only to live in war? Let's balance out this script of characters portraying caricatures. Change the station. Once Others closed eyes and looked away. Now they watch every moment. Now they close minds to different narratives, covering ears, opposing voices, illiterate to any other's word. Only those most absurd deliver the message, lost in translation, lost in a bottle. The downfall of sobriety, rebirth of the irrational, logic replaced with raw emotion, hot temper trapped inside of a burning building, city in chaos. Yesterday's oppressor encourages more of this kind of behavior, preventing restoration of desperately to be forgotten broke down palaces of poverty, blocking achievement, stopping success from reaching too far into this community. Ill-gotten powers that be, mocking anyone that overcomes and sets themselves free. Ill-gotten powers that be, gotta keep making these sheep angry, gotta keep acting like they care, soon to criminalize the same heavily addictive substance they once pushed under the guise of saving lives. But by criminalizing the same heavily addictive substance they once pushed under the guise of saving lives, they are criminalizing those same lives overnight. Those in the shadows take notes, hijacked countercultural movements, spread anti-Western propaganda, sent out others to enrage the actual patriots. Media played he said, she said, both sides being assembled and strategically placed. Other sides started to arise. Now shit flies from every side. Destruction of faith, pride, family, and so on. Sheltering the lawless, doxing the innocent. Something is spreading from mindset to mindset, doing its best to prevent unity from ever occurring. Citizens mowing down officers with automobiles. A malicious media causes a trained public to feel for the lawless they portray as the true victim. None of us truly understand what's going on, but we sit here creating memes. We sit here with knee-jerk reactions. We sit here speaking of something that we are too stubborn to admit we don't understand, too scared to admit we don't know what's going on. We must resist this allegiance. We must question this administration that is against peace but wearing its mask. Be wary of the days to come. Keep vigilant. There is a lot of good out there, but there is also a lot of good that is being manipulated into thinking that their own brothers and sisters are against them. They are using color, lifestyle, mindset, anything they can gain control of. Sheep led astray in these states of decay. Do not fall onto the game board. Do not become a part of the miniature war. Do not mold yourself into one of their tiny plastic soldiers. Fight back by not fighting. Us lunging at each other's throats is exactly what they want. Be forewarned. Show them we are stronger than this. We seem to live in a world where dead loved ones become winning lottery tickets. Only the best funeral, but not always the best life.
Yes, or it is for missile and national security of the United States and blowing the cover of ketchup, mustard, and yes, of the architect company that is for international.
Okay, let's see. Give her too loud. Okay, let's see. Give her too loud. Okay, let's see.
You can face the federal system. Now, U.S. Marshal. Go put on.
What you gonna do with it?
Shit you're on. U.S. Marshal.
That's all that only costs $1. Why give me $1?
You better get this shit on.
Come on, what's up my car? Okay, let's see. Give her too loud. Okay, let's see. Give her too loud.
become wireless remote controls for obedient servants. A hands-free GPS that will choose your destination for you. One nation should never choose another nation's leader for them. A sheep should never lead a pack of wolves and believe it will be safe. A TV should never tell us what to think of strangers. Those that watch TV believe themselves to be completely informed on foreign situations. They carry the contagion of spreading propaganda. Those refusing to kneel have already taken the knee for another. In a world of presidential puppets, followers, and mad queens, be the dragon and fly free. Fly the flag in disbelief. No one respects it anyways. Look at all those pictures of drawing on it. Never fall so much in love with an idea that you cannot question it. Just the idea of a man will not change the elements, the remnants, the consequence of his previous actions overlooked by his forever faithful followers.
You are being lied to.
If you believe in freedom, then practice it. If there is a question, then ask it. If there's no reception, then learn to decode static. There are no secret societies if they have all been told. There is no more Illuminati since it changed its name once again. Breadcrumbs for parakeets that speak only to repeat another's absurd ramblings. Now, directionless and dependent, relying upon the mercy of he who preys upon them as they pray to him. Beware false prophets. There is a sick game people play. It's called Look the Other Way. Distractions entertain. Paint over pain. Close your eyes to genocide. They tell us lies televised. Tell us when to laugh or cry. But what about the other side? Everything looks different when it's televised. Everything looks different when it's right before you. We have been conditioned to preach with love yet thirst for blood. A damaged species led by the weak, hiding behind the rest of the herd. A diabolical masterpiece, every puzzle piece another civilian casualty. Man, woman, child, no life story, no identity. Sister, mother, brother, lover, just another number. CIA operations, the recruitment of world-renowned terrorists mentally manipulating their own people, and Jim Jones was given just enough time, and Charles Manson just died in prison, and I don't excuse either, and we fight for human rights, and we side with those that violate them, and they say never again, and they make it happen again, and children shot for throwing rocks will always be more of a man than the brainwashed soldier that shot them, and we cry about stores running out of our favorite ice cream, and employees not smiling enough, and we work like slaves and call ourselves elites. We call others savages as we act like savages. A man trying to protect his family murdered alongside them, remembered only as a threat. A man that murders on the highway because another driver failed to signal left. A man argues over the price of beef. Another tries to ration 1 cooler of water for a household of 16. A man goes hungry. On his right, a Wendy's. On his left, a Burger King. Passerbys try not to look, not to listen. Walks a little faster than seeks recognition for public donations to corrupt charities run by hustlers exploiting suffrage. Television sets instructions for the unknowing. If viewers start to ask questions, new movies and scandals, petty stories of name-calling and smear campaigns, politics, the candy, voter, the unwanted fat kid, and some of you will have a problem with that comparison, calling it body shaming, calling it insensitive, failing to see common addiction matched with one's own prejudice, swinging from strings in a land of scissors, walking on eggshells mixed with razor blades, failing life's tests, cheating death by living lives that those that died for us should have had. Betrayed survivors deserve much more than a simple thank you for your service. Speaking of human shields, let's talk about televised persuaders of popular opinion and their millions of viewers ready to kill strangers as a writer's pen gets used as a sword by illiterate simple men and women calling themselves queens, remaking themselves whores. We are but replicas of human beings conjoined to pocket-sized screens, synthetic existence, prosthetic thought, biogenetic strength, defects of thoughtless thinkers, repeaters of talking points, poster children of the post-apocalypse. The after-future is now, alert to surroundings, vigilant around others, silent around those I don't know. A people empowering the powerless. Many only resist in tweets and on post. Many only fight with an upvote. Believers used to await the second coming, replaced by one man every 4 years. Lost, forgotten, one of the same, telling the same story through different timelines, the same promise to be broken, the same point finger forever looming, red and blue game pieces, Democrats for war, Republicans for war, occupiers unwelcomed, freedom for who? A high price for protection. Where does this leave the poor? In factories designing freedom's apparel for slave wages, privatized rainwater, Nestle, Coca-Cola, Cobra.
There isn't a whole lot of difference between farmers over there defending their land and farmers over here defending their land.
If I were the devil,
What to do when humanity turns their back on you, when society deems you the fool, when girls won't date you, when you've opened your eyes to truth and people are mad at you for looking at it because it's not what they want you to believe in. They'd rather be force-fed daily instructions by alien reports as we are under abduction. Dare not stand in the way and question this new age oppression they set in motion. They are killing us and promising an anecdote already boxed up and prepared for shipment. They want to erase your memory and replace it. They want to replace success with enslavement. Devils lurking so-called savior's shadow. Blue and red pills never meant to be swallowed. Freedom takers and freedom fighters in need of resolution. Only problems twisted bodies of power ever solve with final solutions. We are living a reprisal of World War II. Antifa brown shirts and corona COVID-tyvis like yellow stars. Those that resist the resistance are thrown in institutions. Flocks of sheep accept this. They accept this mask to control what you breathe. Capture spoken dream. Keep words meant for others from reach. Stifle speech. These masks be verbal blindfolds. There are many that see with their mouths, for as they begin to speak, their visions come into existence. And now what they see, silently imprisoned. Mask mumblers, no one understands each other. Reconstructing Tower of Babel, forgotten Bible. Not many understand what they should. Now ancient history is being used against them. War criminals abuse Bethlehem. Terrorism exists only when it's convenient. Only reported when it's convenient. But Paris is still burning. If we were to expose every mark of the beast, many of us would be walking painting to Satan, demons screaming for what we destroy. We are play toys to the men believing they are gods. We master no destiny, only family dog. Our thoughts are not our thoughts but recordings. We are parakeets that chirp another's absurd ramblings. We speak but no longer understand what we are saying. Watching unplugged televisions, reading wordless books. Our soundtrack is silence. Our world peace is genocidal violence. We fight freedom, strengthen chains. On flags we paint steel bars over stripes. Grand division, unity forgotten, community forgotten, dead children forgotten, a crackhead remembered. Buildings get Septembered by peaceful arsonists caressing the flames, burning American dreams. From the smoke come revision visions from overseas. Bullies target pacifists. They pacifist to get to women with open hands and beat them. Women beaten by Me Too supporters. News reporters justify disorder only to aim camcorder at her husband fighting back. Those that attack get a free pass. Caught in a field of chess, we are only but the game piece for shadow beasts. Shadownet, maybe more than conspiracy. Reality is not a theory, or is it? Is life hallucination or existence? Disposable to classified blueprints, top secret, but can you hear it? Can you hear the whispers? Can you feel the serpent slither? Oily, oozy words off forked tongues into your minds that control your lungs. Make it seem a suicide, make it seem a COVID case. Make another cold case, grab another cold one, son, and learn not to question online schooling. Many failing social skills, messages drilled in honest students, forbidden to ask questions, told to answer questions already solved by biased networks, re-illustrating facts, remolded with feelings, reworded by agendas. Tech giants terrorize small isolated rural towns, dumbing down their populations with proper propaganda to be argued at Sunday night dinner tables. Destroying families is what the godless do best. The compassion for strangers, replacing connection with loved ones. Society becomes the stalker that falls for the actress, the prepubescent girl that drools over the poster of a manufactured teen icon. False idols and a truth exiled and a job lost and another soul bought. Caught by the mangled web weaved out of desperation. Obtained belief through manipulation. Fear of annihilation. We no longer to fight back but fall back. Watch it all collapse. Watch self-enslaved slaves laugh at disasters and attack comedians and attack anyone or anything they are trained to. Learning institutions become blueprints for Satan's army. Time to fight behind the armory of God as the sinners we are. Making our beds in repentance as we tend to our own backyard, keeping the strays out. Everything that should be changed is business as usual for the average idiot shouting from scripts within herds of human cattle controlled by the true oppressor. And if you think this is about color, you better adjust the contrast to see the dead skin she slides out of, the shadow of a weak man she feeds off of. Like succubus, this story is writing itself. I am only one instrument and no author. I challenge no god but the man that believes he knows her. From caves, we made mangers, blind by purified consciousness, only seen through a mortal's eyes, blind to the speed of light, unable to truly dissect every frame from our retinas. Our eyes are pupils studying life. We are no teacher, we are only students grouped together in class projects, far from God's kingdom. Your glass house mansions mean nothing if your words mean nothing. If you sing senseless songs and try to sound profound through interviews, you speak of subjects you were a slave to. Your auto-tune is untuned. Your truth is untruth. Puppets should cut their strings if they are a part of a children's puppet show. For these kids are the last ones you should ever lie to. The last ones you should ever abuse. Phoenix, rising, over, bullshit.
As we make the world healthier, as we make the world healthier, as we make the world healthier.
Syphilis was a cultural embarrassment.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
People.
Cultural embarrassment.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
People.
Cultural embarrassment.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
People.
Cultural embarrassment.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
People should get vaccinated
to participate in the experiment.
People, as we make the world healthier.
Nearly all of them were poorly educated, impoverished sharecroppers.
From Tuskegee.
Deplorables.
As we make the world healthier.
There's no evidence of death for this vaccine yet. Certainly, when Pfizer released their clinical trial information, the adverse events were reported. There was nothing serious. I'll go on and say there were deaths in the clinical trial.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
People.
4 participants in the Pfizer vaccine trial and 4 participants in Moderna's trial did experience Bell's palsy, which in its simplest form causes the face to droop.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
People.
In Pfizer's trial, all 4 participants who experienced Bell's palsy received the COVID vaccine.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
As we make the world healthier.
However, in Moderna's trial, 3 participants who experienced Bell's palsy got the vaccine, 1 got the placebo. Dr. Elizabeth Ransom with Baptist Health says that should not deter anyone from getting the vaccine.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
And so what we need to do is take this age generosity and this innovation and go into those places, offer the women better tools where they want to space birthing or have a smaller family size.
We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
As we make the world healthier, as we make the world healthier, as we make the world healthier, is the population going to get so big that feeding everybody and maintaining the environment is going to be impossible.
What they really did is they showed what our system is built on, which is that our system is just so vulnerable to influence by competing financial and other misguided influences. And those influences, they lead into these crazy actions that we can't make sense of.
We are spectators. We love watching lions in the Coliseum. We pretend to care about their victims. Then we group together and pretend to be affected by what we just witnessed. Although we dream of being the lion. We act like savages after being phony outraged by such brutality. We want others to believe that we are different, but we are the same species. We are no better than beasts. Our tears are worthless. Our message is wordless. We pretend to be only who they say we are. The dead that you mourn for are the same that you aimed for. Dear hunter, that was the deer. You was the hunter. Notebooks were put together by prisoners who couldn't spell notebooks. In mines, Mika was picked by small children without makeup or glossy skin. Blood diamonds were birthed by those who only wore rusted shackles, same chains their children dipped in platinum. New ways to enslave their own people. New wave pop sensation changed the station. This is the sequel to all spirituals. Souls collected in cathedrals, awakening truths being buried in books. But who reads these days? Who reads anything other than text and words under memes? I am an author unseen, An unauthorized version of a pop artist not seen on TV, only in life as the blue-collared worker, judged by strangers, pretending to be good people, pretending to be my master, pretending to be humanitarians, acting like those acting on TV. Reality is a strange place to those that stroll so far from it. Fantasy gives life meaning until bubbles are popped. Emptiness is inevitable until we become ourselves. Actors are lost in scripts from abandoned projects, starting to project hallucinations of immortality until overdose occurs. Overwhelmed. Electric fences for social butterflies, halos for good souls lost in isolation. This is for the gods I haven't met yet, haven't become yet. Our life is limited by a world that is afraid to let go of control, grab the remote and channel actual existence. Repetition is for the circle, replication found in the box, all out of shape. A living design, learning how to redefine, how to read the signs, symbolism of signs, deep meaning without shallow thinking, fall asleep dreaming, rise and follow what's remembered after waking up and breaking up with shackles and making up with lost freedom, mental wars with think tanks. Victory is thought out of the box and into a new day. Never walked on water, have only drowned in stones and resurfaced, awaiting no one's approval. A rebirth.
Virus, crisis, protest, conflict.
We have predators. Shit. We have predators. We have predators. Shit. We have predators on our streets.
If I were the devil. If I were the devil. If I were the devil.
Don't look in the basement. It was a sacrifice to prove allegiance to Satan.
If I were the devil.
Throw a dart. Which of these universes are you most likely to hit?
Virus, crisis, protest, conflict.
If I were the devil.
Look in the basement. Look in the basement. Look in the basement.
Experiment on black and Puerto Rican soldiers during World War II. Bombs tested on those already surrendered. Injecting syphilis into the arm at Tuskegee. Turning Puerto Rico into an island of army bases and tobacco slavery. The Philippines once flourished before Spain and the U.S. drained its economy. Africa's natural resources vastly depleted by U.S. occupation. Venezuela's independence threatened by the envious. We are equipping Israel with tools for Palestinian genocide. We, the same, the ones trained, the same men that plotted 9/11. Those like Rumsfeld stuttering and accurate proofs. Beware not-so-secret societies, Western puppetry, media propaganda technique
is poised to fulfill the historic vision of its founders.
I have requested this opportunity to talk to the people of Massachusetts about the tragedy which happened last Friday evening.
I came from here, going downward. When
about the tragedy.
I hear the tires screaming, wee, like that, wee, like that, wee, like that. I hear
about the
tires
tragedy.
screaming, wee, like that, wee, like that.
About the tragedy.
Wee, like that, wee, like that.
About the tragedy. About the tragedy.
This guy here. Then I don't know how somehow he twists around. All I hear.
I have requested this opportunity.
That's the only thing I can do. But all I see.
About the tragedy.
It's a white cop. All I hear. All I hear. All I hear. Twist around.
This morning I entered a plea of guilty to the charge of leaving the scene of an accident.
When the last martyr speaks, there will be an awakening from these backwards mentalities passed down from generations, and we will come to the realization that we really did take some petty shit just a little too far. They will see how fiction and art slowly began to rip apart a reality that realistically not one of us knew the first thing about. They will see how TVs taught hypocrisy. All we blamed them for was the same that formulated the very core of our own Babylonian superstructure. Concrete, godless cities could never be considered the heartland. Blood on the hands of Uncle Sam began to stain this hand that was shook, and disorientated visions began to visualize the truth which lies a motel room bed, secret meetings, this new world order, this self-righteous explorer had our children dying over silver quarters. We were trapped in supermarkets arguing over the price of fish when the first bomb hit. We were decoys trying to act authentic as plastic figurines transfiguring into killers disguised as saints with face paint and clown smiles, creating a media circus, disturbing the circuits during family reprogramming, teaching us who to love, who to hate, what to do, where to go, what rhythm to walk to, what style to walk it into, the doors shutting behind us, to be concealed in a room with only one view, where only one truth would cancel out the cries heard if you listen closely, thinking untaught thoughts, wondering if any mind readers notice me, wondering if they could keep a secret, or would they tape record my private self-conversations, edit my words and have me heard as a new enemy, just because I refuse to wear a shirt with a flag on it. The disbelief of mortal worship with warship organization to fire at the mouth and burn with fire and ice water. Yes, he who walks tightropes, finding balance in the lines of your mind, possessing the potential to be authentic once again. Remember when originality was at the table, only to sit there till it got cold? I caught the cold, threw it in a stove and wove thoughts into my mind to a memory it wouldn't be left behind when somebody told me to run from it. See, each and every passing day we become it. You were the light burning candles, not the candles that melt. You were the thought, the thinker, the ideology behind every great setting. Do you believe in people dying for your dining? To feel safe, will another soldier have to rape another Western slave and take advantage of the word following orders? Disorder caught on camcorders, incidents everlasting, every final shot. Soon to be sold through cyberspace, entitled What We Do for Our Country. Let's just call it What They Do to Other Countries. And some cheap motherfucker actually believes if we wipe out enough of these invisible enemies, we'll purchase gasoline just a little cheaper. Never understanding the true concept of how many sincere moments caught in old speeches will in time justify that cost of living. But there's a cost of giving, a cost of taking, and at all costs, my friends, let me ask, can we afford the cost of receiving? Another worm like fish, we've been hooked on fish and trips and Cape Cod, hooked on caffeine, nicotine, gasoline, porn queens, hooked like crack fiends, dope fiends, there go them dreams. Replaced with diversion to help us forget who we are. never understanding who the casualties were. They're gonna have enough obituaries to fill an entire paper, so they just gonna shorten it and simply state we are winning. But sadly, we won will show that we are not one, but millions of backstabs, carjacks, heart attacks, killers wearing masks, molestations and bubble baths, rats, traps, government tracks. That's where we are at. But we will blame it on another spot on the map and feel a bit better about our own shortcomings tomorrow. For a day, anyways. Give it another day, the unity will fade. The division will escalate. Christopher Columbus was the first son of Sam. He was the inspiration for March 19, 2003 at 8 a.m. Fertile soil and golden trinkets resurrected as gasoline, sulfur, zinc, and other natural resources vital to this economy. And that's just a small part yet. How many people actually believe in a time where president needed a reason to go to war? 3 suspects searched for about the last couple Septembers were suddenly apprehended. Scare tactic blueprints, the evidence of kids targeted. Let's market a war. Not so hard to do when Black Hawk was such a box office smash hit. And when a bomb goes off, it looks like the shit. But when a plane hit, this nation paused. It was like, oh shit. All this given, no return. The greatest excuse to pocket a little more of what we earn. Lessons to learn. We die for countries. We die for flags. We die for cash. We die for gas. And I cry for these morals, for these mortals believing they are God. We hated the French because they believed in peace. We hated others that were in fear of what we might do. You hated others that didn't look like you. But people, I love you. Please do not misinterpret my choice of topic, my voiced opinion, my trust in some, distrust in others. This goes to show a president could be far more dangerous than any mythical dictator, cause you got some people following this motherfucker like he's a god. And I am lost. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. King James is at it again, tampering with ancient scrolls, redirecting good souls, readmitting the power of control. So stole for black gold, Texas T, y'all. Jeb and his family hiding out in Beverly Hills, that is. He kills the kids and uses eye for an eye, but this third eye spies we were already blind to attacks before that trade center ever went down. But we will in time be justified. There is no place to hide, Mr. Supremacist. There is no place to hide, Mr. Extremist. There is no place to hide, Mr. Conformed. There is no place to hide, Mr. Conformer. And they Mr. once again. Mother, please tell your children it's okay to cry. Teach them the value on a human's life. They were wrong, but we were wrong. Let us take the blame for own mistakes. Hate is not the antidote for peace. Hate only formulates into beast. I pray for everyone. Those I pray for pass more borders than man will ever know. There they go, 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 there they go. For what honest reason? Who knows? A sense of security? Western supremacy? Direct order of the Queen? Another star on our flag? Once again, we've been had. But remember, people, I love you.
It's not just stealing, military mind work. It's not just stealing, military mind work. It's not just stealing, military mind work. Secret plans, but using tanks and planes and men to roll out policies around the world, and sometimes war with broken orders. We don't want. It's like a fucking chess.
The war on the economy, the war on trade, the war on taxation, the war on poverty, the war on domestic policy, the war on domestic violence, the war on a domesticated species, the war on alcohol, the war on drugs, actually, the war on competition, the war on poor farmers that never resisted, gunned down with their families deep in the jungles of Catatumbo, the war on ghettos, the war on slums, the war on our government that provided these drugs, the war on addiction, the war on acceptance, the war on low self-esteem, the war on dreams, the war on opportunity, the war on your surroundings, the war on mental slavery, the war on mental health, the war on racism, sexism, classism, self-narcissism, any ism a self-proclaimed victim can envision, the war on double standards, the war on labels, the war on depression, the war on antidepressants, the war on disease sponsored by the CDC, the war on the elite, the war on Big Pharma, the war of Farsi, the war of bureaucracy, the war of medical mediocrity, hospitals of malpractice and TikTok nurses, the war on politicizing and straight-out lying, bastardizing all well-being, face masking us with false sense of safety, the war on lockdowns, the war on vitamin D, the war on misinformation, the war on restriction, the war on division, the war on loneliness, the war on the US, the war on us, the war within ourselves, the war on love, the war on unity, the war on cover-ups, the war on truth, the war on whistleblowers, the war on veterans, the war on their victims, the war on privacy, the war on assembly, the war on solidarity, the war on sovereignty, the war on polarity, the war on extremism, the war on political activism, the war between two parties exactly the same pretending to be so different, the war on obscenity and vulgarity declared by the same society selling these wars overpiling with real casualties without purpose, the war on our rights, a war designed by the left and the right, a war on self-expression, the war on mannerisms, the war on thought, the war on fashion, the war on TV, the war on the media, the war on slander, the war on propaganda, the war on propaganda selling more war to your children, the war on the military-industrial complex, the war on funding wars we didn't even know we were fighting, the war on presidents refusing to kneel before our half-assed president, the war on culture, the war on privilege, the war on colonialism, the war on first, second, and third worlds, the war on people, the war on amendments, the war on human rights, the war on Africa, which is actually the real war on the environment, the war on crime, the war where we decide who to call the victim and who to call the criminal and how to turn the citizens against the actual victims, the war on authority, the war on an authority that wages war upon its own unprotected citizens, the war on immigrants, the war on Texas finally returning Texas back to Mexico, the war on Palestine, the war on unwelcome settlers, the war on sanctions, the war on everyday harsh realities edited by news stations, the war on Western resistance, the war on regimes, the war on occupations, the war on treason, the war on freedom, the war on freedom's definition and its delusional modifications, the war on religion, the war on God, the war on crypto-Christians, the war on Zionism, the war on supremacists, the war on you pretending to be offended, the war on individualism, the war on capitalism, the war on communism, the war on terrorism, the war birthed by the unquenched thirst for vengeance against the men that slaughtered their village, the war on those that just wanted to be left alone, the war abroad, the war at home, the war brought by strangers referring to those in their own home as invaders, the war on friends, children, and families that accidentally walked under a madman's drone, the war on the man that had this exposed, a war without movement, a war unspoke, a war on imagination created by imagination, a war on war, a war on serfs serving the wrong lords, a war on those that question, a war on critical thought, a war on those that won't dress as a character or answer to a slur to fall into a particular group, a war on figuring out which side to take so you won't lose any more friends from petty-ass arguments, the war currently refraining from using keywords such as talking points, all lives matter, what if it were the other way around, think of the children, Nazi, hippie, super spreader, pro-vaxxer, anti-vaxxer, deplorable, liberal, obey, pray, slave, anyways, a war that has no end, a war that could just end if we... Yeah, fuck it.
Overthrow governments, invade occupy, bomb, torture. Those are the things we label democracy. Why? What else are we going to call it? Killing and bombing and torture? Those are the things we label democracy.
It's like a fucking chess game.
I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
The cult actually called are known as the Branch Davidians.
You have to move, and the people that are standing there in the aisle go stay in the radio room yard. Everybody get behind the table and back this way, okay?
Possible terms. This egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence.
Everybody keep calm and try to keep your children calm.
No place in America.
And the older children can help love the little children and reassure them.
When you see so many businesses get hit and so many people's lives go up in flames.
And we need your help.
Every night we learn a little bit more about ourselves and how to tactically approach these things better. Well, I'm sorry, but I've been busy. It's been crazy out here. There's been several shootings here, but I haven't been involved in any. Well, I should be home maybe day after tomorrow, hopefully. All right, love you.
Look at this. They just keep coming.
Oh, go inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go! Light him up! Go inside now! Get in the house!
The story of police brutality quickly spread through the community.
Get in!
Cancel culture. Cancel culture. Cancel culture. Cancel culture. Cancel culture. Cancel culture.
This may be the flashpoint of the unresponsive people throwing a rock.
What shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Young man, listen to my instructions and do not make a mistake.
You have a First Amendment constitutional right to
You are to keep your legs crossed. Do you understand me? You are to put both of your hands palms down, straight out in front of you. Push yourself up to a kneeling position. I said keep your legs crossed! I didn't say that the conversation. Put your hair! Hand up in the air!
Several squad cars in Miami set on
You do that
fire.
again, we're shooting you. Do you understand?
Mothers are worried about their children getting home from school
Don't talk, listen!
without being killed by a cop. What world are we
Do
living
not
in?
put your hands down for any reason. You think you're gonna fall, you better fall on your face. Your hands go back in the small of your back or down. We are going to shoot you. Do you understand me? Yes, sir. Crawl towards me.
It does not
Crawl
happen.
towards me! Sir, don't talk.
Imagine if it was your child. How would you feel?
How this great force may be used for the benefit of mankind.
Taught to demonize rational thought, baptized by memorized words, not to the spirit but false gods, men that practice magic tricks on crowds of preoccupied citizens, their eyes fused with small screens, a limited vision. Authenticity is a limited edition, too many covers with very little originals, all these covers without pages, no stories, Bibles of memes, gospels of idiots. We are trying to reset time but find errors in the programming. We are trying to rewrite reality but find we are illiterate. He speaks in tongue, she speaks in microphone. I speak to you. Break out your shell, break from this spell. The door to your cell is open. Come with us, a freedom forbidden, a culture, her body language double masking, second guessing instinct by the space in between blinks. Never question questioning experts that have made a business out of lying to us. Blind trust is a thin security blanket incapable of protecting one from the sun or the dampness of a rainy night. So many halos, no city of angels. Like puppets we dangle, ridiculous on strings resembling nooses. An elephant never forgets while a jackass kneels before a queen of damnation. This damnation, executioners, actors, cowards of obedience, freedom of speech, but everyone's silent, allowing what's happening to happen, refusing to resist. A blind man's taste test, a free man's lament, the death of a love song without a heart, the breath of Zeus exhaled from fallen buildings, invisible monsters and easily seen heroes, although...
Carry on. Nothing to see here.
Transparency depends on the frequency of a preset RPM. I be him, the man your mama warned you about, the one that won't sell you to an improper suitor while reminding you of your greatness in your lowest of moments. The plague of finance after starting over and over and over. The game over before ever holding the controller. Can't control her. I know her. I've seen her. I've dreamed her. She came with me in dreams. She came to me it seems, but as she stood there, I kept falling. Mind kept calling. Thoughts to reconstruct themselves at the first minute of the following hour. Freedom is now, or so I'm told. Sold to strangers as experiments. A drowning bear, a melting mountain, God's eye in a storm, on organic fury, a planet sinking, mindless mining industries, poison crops, child slavery, women disappearing near Coca-Cola factories, a disease seized by opportunists, a mental sickness, an unawareness to a much more severe illness, a global stillness, unnecessary conflict, obituaries before birth certificates, the coldness of a fire, its last dance on warming waters, Earth's destroyers are blaming us for their factories, scientists blaming creatures for their disease, authority claims they protect us yet neglect as soon as the order is given, sovereign citizens commune in the realms of a dangerous fiction, self-inflicted victims of the highest of all privilege, failing to understand they are not the deities they claim to be, and we are not the sheep to cross steep rocks on skinned knees. I believe in belief and disbelief. I allow fate and destiny to intertwine through time and weave me in eternity, and forever cannot be as long as we speak a controlled language of hatred and doubt. Passing off the unknown is inevitable, writing off stories of the dead no longer here to defend themselves unless we hold the correct seance, but a foolish pride has killed off all belief, and here we are, lighting candles in the dark and summoning the arts of talking to ourselves. We are not the people we used to be. We are far from our ancestors. Our ancestors are not who they told us. Our gods have returned back to their home planet. We are all aliens. Borders are worthless. History books might as well be wordless. We only remember what yesterday's architects want us to. We are but martyrs of logic and reasoning. Poets, the prophets speaking the blues. We are given toys to distract us as they attack us psychologically. These breakthrough diets are designed to weaken us physically. They are teaching us to achieve defeats and suffer silently, worrying more about our image than our character, more concerned with social status than one's own self. Death of a stubborn pride, birthed by a blind allegiance, believing one continent to be the entire fucking universe, blaming overseas for homegrown ignorance. Always choose evolution over revolution. No need to repeat this, but always choose evolution over revolution. Evolution over revolution. Evolution over revolution. The situation is not under control, nor will it ever be. You chose to be under control by those on imaginary thrones of control. They are not in control, lost or control, and sold your soul down by the river, conversing with serpents that had to answer for Adam's ignorance, burying the evidence by burning the women that possess the power to save our homes. Mother Nature is being burned and prescribed fires by deniers of her existence. Mother Nature, by far the most powerful of all the witches, goddess of all, forgotten by too many, objectified and exploited by opportunists. I challenge no God but the man that still believes he knows her. Sweet, sweet mother, forgive every one of these blind bastards, for these fathers have forgot how to raise sons, so their children forever lost in the night.
For the benefit of mankind.
To all indoctrinated bigots, to all faithful hypocrites, to all loyalists disguised as patriots, to all self-made victims of self-entitlement, to all forever willing silent accomplices of extinction events held beyond this border, to all people of Earth violently ripped from the wombs of their once promised lands, to all unwelcomed voyagers telling true stories differently to make themselves out to be the hero, to every victim offered salvation only to be crucified, to every free thinker, burning witch, individual that has ever been silenced, child that has ever had to hide, you no longer have to be afraid. To all ministers of defense that ever gave the order to slaughter the defenseless, there will be consequences. Vengeance not to be seen as terrorism. We are asking for all colonial outposts to be abandoned, for every U.S. territory to be given back, for every troop to return home. Occupier, go home. Strangers have told all stories that redefined our bloodline. These present-day roles do not suit us. Carpenters cannot be painters. The disappearance of difference, loss of culture, of direction, of will. Our names lost in the wind. Our spirits are dying. Our world, our habitat, our climate change into dirty man doing dirty things. He is the plastic that swims in the ocean, the hatred that flows in veins pulsating, the gasoline that corrodes Hawaii's drinking water, the tar on the feathers of a flightless bird, the creator of new fault lines that run through the Caribbean. He is the reason condos are collapsing and schools of dolphins are beginning to beach themselves. His hands dirty. His hands destroy families. His hands kill. His hands push buttons, turn channels, and turn away those who begin to take notice. Where are your heroes now? There is no good guy riding off into the sunset. Very few governments are not involved in human chess. Today's damsel in distress, a wealthy, bitter, aging Me Too actress, guilty of once selling plenty of her past co-stars into human traffic. Grassroots movements infiltrated by Central Intelligence, now being trained to fight against justice. Decoy abolitionists now target what's left of this dying creature once known as freedom. There were no survivors of Eden. Replicants rewrote the books but can't tell you what they say. A mistranslated legacy, a fictitious history of imaginary wars played with plastic army men. One nation that covered our eyes and ears after whispering fears into them as a truth that could never be argued with. They believe what's on TV more than what they see. Trying to tell them is like trying to speak to a wall built to border existence. Soften resistance, limit vision, clip wings, cage freedom, and resonate the brewing hate of a deep-rooted legacy of US versus them, us versus them, those, they, found in mirrors, found in unmarked shallow graves, found far too late, exploited in film, discredited by fiction, always a suspect subject, topic, a safe space conversation. Today's intellectuals birth in old, new, and unimproved ignorance from the comfort of leather couches and coffee houses. How many children does it take for you to play Candy Crush, to be crushed in collapsing minds with 2 handfuls of coltan and a smile so wide because now he can finally rest, enjoy the consumer's temporary dream that you helped make possible during the same time they were out here saying they were saving the world, but who was there to save you? Our illiteracy of actual reality, our manipulative powers that be, our demonization of the world's beauty, our mistranslation of peace, our sanctions leading to poverty, our point finger blaming everyone else in the name of country, in the name of convenience, in the name of greed, in the name of intolerance, in the name of false teachings, propaganda, misunderstanding, simply not knowing, in the name of fear, but not in my name. They say they keep us safe. they endanger us. Many that like to hold those kinds of conversations have been raised into believing what should have never been believed. In all truth, we are rarely told the truth of other parts and people of this world. We claim to be this world power. Unfortunately, we tend to create allies out of actual oppressors, therefore becoming powerless in areas that truly matter, killing others with unspoken hope to consume their power. The power of constructing, building, creating. The power of conversation, the power of faith, the power of healing, the power of understanding, the power of love, the power of humility. It's time to admit that we are not as brilliant as we would like to believe. And just because some will comply and follow their every word, this will not guarantee safety. And I know a lot of you that disagree with me aren't really bad people. You've just been lied to, misguided, and unfortunately, we are all trained to be stubborn and set in our ways. All I am asking, get to know the people that have been demonized, discredited, targeted, defamated, and understand that any entity with paid sponsors may not always be completely honest. Your precious pop icons are only the puppets of the handlers. And if the CDC was so worried about our health, then why there's still so many numerous poisons on supermarket shelves? All I am asking is to take a deep breath and try to treat people, all people, as people. We, the people, we were once people. When we target people, we are no longer people. Let's try to be 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 people. Let's try to be. Pray to flags, pray to gods, pray on people. A parade of followers, a parade of enforcers, a parade of prisoners. Some prayed for freedom, some prayed for answers. Some lived their entire lives only to question who they were praying to, what they were praying to, who they were praying upon. A nation of sheep behind the surface, a nation of wolves in sheep clothing, an army of predators no longer understanding why they were fighting, only doing so because they are told to do so, in the name of country, in the name of manipulators, believing it is in the name of God, a God that still goes unspoken, speechless by what his children have become.
Did you have any choice?